We're gonna go ahead and get started. Want to thank you for your time. If we haven't already, there are sign-in sheets at the back. Make sure you sign in with your check. Okay. Make sure we sign in with all your points of contact. That's going to be critically important as we continue to move forward in this project. We're really excited to be here this morning. My name is Darnell Johnson. I am the president of Urban Efficiency Group. We are a minority sustainability design firm that works very, very closely with both Mayor Thompson and Mayor Harvey, the villages of Bellwood and the village of Broadview, to make sure that all of the emerging technology, all of the opportunities to ensure that we secure sustainable futures for our communities, that we're taking advantage of those, but making sure, more importantly, that we're providing access to information for those of you that we're looking to partner with, both on the residential, commercial, and more broadly speaking at the community level. One of the things that's really important about the work that we do is making sure that we are addressing many of the barriers or the existential threats that potentially can cause harm, health-related issues in communities such as Bellwood and Broadview. One of the things that's really important, we've been talking about, Mayor Thompson and Mayor Harvey have been championing sustainability within these communities through their various comprehensive strategies around, electric vehicle infrastructure, solar and renewable energy efficiency programs to make homes more efficient and reduce costs. We're addressing now, looking at how we can address the air that we breathe. There's an initiative that we are working with in partnership with these mayors. It's called Breathe Easy, and that's what we're here for today, to make sure that we can, explain the benefits of this program, identify the partners that will be working alongside of us, and also providing answers to any questions that you may have that would either assist you in making a decision about participation, or B, just providing more clarity if you've already made the decision to participate. And then those questions are many of those questions are going to be answered when the presentation is given. But if there are any outstanding questions that you have after the presentation, please make sure that you provide, ask those questions. One of the most important things about this, and then I'll move on, is, typically speaking, when these types of programs are started and incorporated, the input that actually influences these programs does not come from the ground or from the community. Your role and your place in this room today is critical in the way that this program will be developed and designed and ultimately delivered to you as an end user. And I think that is a huge difference probably than what we've seen historically when programs are brought to us. Those programs are already prepackaged. All of the details have already been worked out, and we're just expected to adopt those programs. Today, while some of that framework has already been put in place, there will be opportunities for your feedback to directly influence and inform the engineers that are continuing to design and making the final developments to this particular initiative. And so we're really appreciative about that. Without further ado, we're always excited for our municipal partners and for our mayors not only to just be supportive, but to take the lead. And that's one of the things that I can say about Mayor Thompson and Mayor Harvey, is that they are not just bringing programs into their communities. They're at the forefront of understanding of why these programs are important, the way that they serve and directly impact you all as the end users and us as communities, and for them to continue to look forward to find ways to bring things in that we don't necessarily have to pay for and come out of pocket expenses to adopt these technologies. As we begin to see the positive impacts of these programs over time, we will come to a place of realization of how important these steps and these commitments and these partnerships that Mayor Thompson and Mayor Harvey are making, how valuable they really are to us at our community level. And so I'm really, really thankful for their partnerships. Definitely want to introduce our other partners that are working alongside of us, so that you all would be aware of who those individuals are. Of course, you all are familiar with Mr. Winton Jones, who's also our sustainability director at the rear of the room for urban efficiency. He's already working with both the Village of Bellwood and the Village of Broadview. Great guy, super passionate about the work, and he'll be connected to this project as well to make sure that the on-the-ground support for all of our communities, that you all have that support. Then secondly, I want to introduce to many of you for the first time, Mr. Paul Francisco. He's a senior engineer, has a very stellar resume and history in the area of home performance, indoor air and outdoor air quality, ASHRAE, and various other aspects of the industry. But he's also the lead on this team to bring forward this project and this opportunity through a partnership with HUD. So I want to introduce you all to Mr. Paul Francisco. Paul, raise your hand so they can see who you are, sir. And so without further ado, I want to make sure that we are providing ample time. So I want to bring our host, our municipal host, to give the official greetings and welcoming you all to the Village of Broadview. And then she will then bring her colleague to welcome, ensure that our Bellwood partners are welcomed as well. But without further ado, can you put your hands together for the host, Mayor Katrina Thompson?
Thank you and good morning. Happy holidays, everyone. I'm going to ask all of the elected officials to stand just so that we can recognize them. I don't want to name names because I may miss somebody in the room. So all of our elected officials, can you please stand? And so why it's important that we also recognize our other colleagues in this work that we do is because they support the work that we're doing to bring benefits and resources to our communities. And so I'm extremely excited about this particular one because it's indoor air quality. And many of you probably don't know this, but I had a cousin that died at the age of 10 from asthma. And it's all about the air quality that we breathe when we're inside buildings, homes, or just out in the community with trees and all of those things. And so when we started the C4 initiative, our community climate collaboration with the 14 communities, and Bellwood is one of those communities that we partner with, it's just important that we recognize that the quality of air that we breathe in Black communities particularly, we have to address it. And so we're on the forefront addressing all of the environmental issues that impact our Black and Latinos community. So I want to just say thank you all for being here, getting the information. I know we're going to have 40 per community, a total of 8 of these devices. Those that want to participate is free of no charge. I'm correct, right? But we hope that you all take the opportunity to make your home better in air quality wise and know what you need to do to make it more efficient as well. So at this time, I'm going to bring up my brother, my mentor, my friend, my colleague. We do a lot of work together. And I'm happy that we're in this space together, and I'm happy that he trusts me to take the lead in environmental justice for our communities, just like I trust him when we talk about public safety. So for me in the Village of Broadview, public safety and environmental justice is the same. It's number one. Because if the air you breathe can kill you, just like a gunshot, we need to pay attention to that as well. So without further ado, I'm happy that you all are here and present. Mayor Harvey.
Thank you, Mayor Thompson. And I'm going to try to be very, very brief if I can, but everybody know I talk too much, but I'm going to try to be brief. I'd like to thank everybody for being here, and I'd like to thank my sister, Mayor Thompson, for partnering with the Village of Bellwood to bring all these great things to the Village of Bellwood, because without her partnership and her collaboration, we wouldn't be here. And I want to thank Mr. Johnson and Winton in the back for always thinking of the Village of Bellwood and keeping us in mind. We want to thank Paul for their partnership. I am, as Mayor Thompson said, I know about public safety, but this engineering, this environmental stuff, I have no clue. I rely on Mayor Thompson and Winton in the back, who knows all about it. I can sit and listen to him for days and days and days, talk about this air quality. But let me tell you what's very important for us. Times are moving so fast. Things are going so fast. Just this morning, someone came to my office and helped me with what's it called, CBT chat. Yep, CBT chat on how enhanced it is to be able to write a letter and do some other things. It's the same now with the environment. We are so blessed that we have these studies and these engineers and all this technology that can help our youth, our seniors, and everybody breathe easy. Right now, I have a 2-year-old granddaughter, and every other week she's coughing. She has respiratory infections and things of that nature. And I want to do this for her so we can make sure that our young people and our seniors can live even longer. So we thank you for the partnership. We thank you. I would advise everybody, if you want to be a part of this, because we want to make our community safer. Thank you.
I appreciate our mayors and our municipal leaders. I always talk to Mayor Harvey, and he's always so clean. So whenever I come to Bellwood, I gotta go to the other side of the closet. That's what this is about, Mayor Thompson. It's friendly, but it's private. So I have to go to the other side of the closet when I know Mayor Harvey is gonna be in the room. But and so I really appreciate that. I appreciate the partnerships. One of the things that I will say, and I would be remiss if I failed to acknowledge our additional partner in this program as well, is with the Cook County Department of Public Health, and Jason Applegate is here today with us. Appreciate you being here, man, to represent that partner as well. Before I'm gonna bring Paul in 1 second so he can get us into the presentation, but I want to say something that's really important, and Mayor Thompson and Mayor Harvey both touched on it. Many times the conversations around environment and sustainability in Black and brown communities is often overlooked or under prioritized because we don't really understand what it means to us at the end of the day. But making sure that we have clean air, clean water, making sure that our homes are efficient has a direct correlation in many times to different social contributors and determinants of our health. Many of times the things that we encounter in our homes, especially if our homes were built, in the 1930s and 40s and 50s, there are things within our homes that can cause life-changing, life-altering medical and health complications. And one of the reasons why this is important is because, as Mayor Thompson, every time she says it, I literally get goosebumps when she says that she puts public safety and environment on the same level. Because it's oftentimes the things that we don't know, the things that we don't see, the things that we don't understand that hurt us the worst, because we continue to allow ourselves to be exposed to it. This Breathe Easy initiative through HUD and with the partnership with Paul and his team is another aspect. And I want to be very clear. Urban sustainability is not one singular thing. It is a combination of all of the things that we see, ranging from health to the food that we eat, to the air that we breathe, to the water that we drink, to the conditions of the homes that we live in, to the conditions of our economic situations around workforce and small business opportunities, our mental health, our physical health, our spiritual health. All of those things are part of making sure that we live in a sustainable, vibrant community. And so while there may be things that we're talking about that seems unconventional, they're only unconventional in our communities. Because when you go into communities outside of us, when you start looking at the river forests and the oak parks and the Schomburgs of the world, they're already doing these things. They're already having these conversations. They're already participating in programs similar to what we're talking about. It's with us that we have been, as usual, coming late and catching up, right? But it's to the detriment of our children struggling with asthma. Our seniors are on oxygen. We're dealing with different types of diseases such as hypertension, congestive heart failure, cancer, and all of these other things, right? and not understanding that sometimes when we allow landfills to come into our communities and we allow dumping in our communities and we have all of the industry in our communities that affects the air that we breathe, it has long-term impacts on those of us that live in these communities. These are our communities, these are our home, this is what we call home, and we want to have the best air, the best water, and the most sustainable future for our current and future residents of these communities. And so I just want you all to help me to thank Mayor Thompson and Mayor Harvey for being visionaries and insightful enough to even want to partner and to listen about bringing these types of opportunities to the villages of Bellwood and Broadview. Let's give them a great big round of applause. That's a perfect segue to bring up our team lead and one of the gentlemen that will be providing some oversight about the project, and then he will bring his colleague, another team member that will give us a PowerPoint presentation. And after that presentation, we will open up the floor for any and all questions, right? I will say that participation in this program, I want to clear this up before I bring Paul, is at no cost to you, right? There is no cost for you to participate in this program. One of the things that I am a proponent of, I'll say this in front of anyone, I say it all the time, one thing about me is my yeah is my yeah and my nay is my nay, and that I don't change on that, right? One of the things that I am not a proponent of is extraction from our communities, meaning coming into our communities, getting information from us without leaving something to empower our communities. Paul and I have had conversations about these types of subjects at length, and he understands and agrees with that sentiment, right? We want to make sure that we're providing information, but we also want something in return, right? And so there is no cost to participate in this program. One of the things that I will say, and I don't want to steal Paul's thunder, but he advocated for these devices, not only for there to be an opportunity for you to receive the optimal performance in interfacing with the platform while the device is in your home, but if you're one of those individuals that choose to keep the device for a period of time after that, you will still have the same level of interface without costing you any additional dollars, right? And so that gives you the opportunity to still enjoy the benefits of the device even after the period of time of assessment has passed. And Paul will talk about that a little bit more when he comes, right? And then the second thing that I want to let you all know is that this is not an initiative by which if there is a certain indoor air contaminant that's identified, that you as an individual homeowner will now be penalized or have to go and make some kind of costly upgrade to your home, right? That's not one of these programs. I would not put the mayors or any of our residents in a position in an effort where they're trying to be better and ultimately end up having to pay for something because of something that's identified, right? So whatever information is gathered, that does not then trigger, some kind of inspector or inspection to come to your home and say, now you have to pay money to change something in your home. So I want to calm your fears on that front as well. You will not be penalized for anything. This is really about being able to identify the types of contaminants that are in the air and being able to help identify what steps we can take in the future to remove those contaminants to increase the quality of air in your home. Okay, so I just want to highlight those two things. I want to make sure that I identified those things prior to bringing Paul. Without further ado, I would like, it's my pleasure to bring a friend and a colleague to the podium that will take us in further into this presentation and ultimately provide an overview of the overall program. Has a tremendous background. I've worked with Paul for many years on many different projects, and while he is not a native of this area, he has spent a considerable amount of time speaking with me to have a better understanding of the communities, of the challenges, of the opportunities that exist within our communities. Paul and I have had the opportunity to talk at length about our positions on diversity, equity, and inclusion, and making sure that the things that we do it through looking through the lenses of DEI. And one of the last things I'll say is that I'm very guarded about bringing people into our communities because I want to make sure that the folks that I bring in, that I can stand behind their motives, their intentions, and why they're here to work with us. And so with this individual, I can absolutely say with certainty that I have the confidence that he and his team will do a great job working alongside of our mayors, working alongside of our elected officials, working alongside of our other partners and stakeholders to ensure that this program is not only deployed and implemented, it, but that we give a stellar and above board type of response and impact to our communities as a result of your participation. So without further ado, put your hands together for Mr. Paul Francisco as he comes to the podium and takes us further.
All right. Well, thank you all for being here. It's a real honor to be here. Thank you so much to Mayor Harvey, Mayor Thompson, for your support of this program, this project, and your participation. As Darnell said, I've been working with him for several years now, and I've learned so much from him. I have had a career where I've seen a lot of people struggling who really need support, need help in order to make their homes be a place that really supports their well-being. And through working with Darnell, it has given me the opportunity that I do not take in any way lightly or for granted to really be able to do that with an equity focus, to be able to leverage what I have learned and what I can do to really bring it to communities that are often not at the leading edge of these things, and try to level that playing field. So it really is an honor to be here in front of you and to have the opportunity to discuss this with you. So thanks to Darnell and mayors up front here and all of you for your interest. So what are we trying to do here? So my view on this is there are a lot of different indoor air quality monitors. Kyle, who's with me here, he's on my team. He'll be doing the presentation in a bit. He brought several indoor air quality monitors that are on the back there. My view is that we got a lot of indoor air quality monitors that are very good in some way or another of saying you have a problem. And sometimes they don't say you have a problem now, sometimes they say you had a problem yesterday. Or if it does say you have a problem now, you have to go and look at it, and it's got some indicator that says you have a problem now. Now, my view is that having something that keeps telling you, you've got a problem, you've got a problem, you've got a problem, how does that help? What about, we have a solution, we have a solution, we have a solution. We've identified a problem, here's what you can do about it. That's what we're trying to do here. That's what I see as the advancement here beyond the devices that you're going to see in the back, is how to make it so that we can collect the data and turn it around and process it and give you information real time that says, hey, something in your indoor air is getting out of whack. And here is a suggestion, here's a recommendation for what you can do about it now. Not tomorrow, not, oh, I wish you had done something yesterday. So, the kinds of things that we're looking at is, Mayor Thompson talked about her 10-year-old cousin, I believe. Asthma attacks, most of them are not fatal, but some of them are. And regardless, they have a severe, severe negative impact on children's quality of life. It's hard to learn, it's hard to play, it's hard to grow when you're trying to figure out how to breathe. And a lot of times, those asthma attacks are triggered by things in the indoor air. Not all of them. There are other things that trigger asthma, but a lot of them are triggered by stuff that's in the air. And so what we're trying to do here is say, whoop, something is getting out of whack. Do this to try to address the indoor air quality problem, and maybe it prevents that asthma attack from happening. I'm not here to guarantee any particular outcome for any particular family or any particular child on any particular event, but that's the idea. If all we do is have things that say, you got problems, then all you know is you got problems. But I want to move it to where we have solutions. So obviously, this is a work in progress. Kyle is going to go through a PowerPoint in a little bit that shows kind of what we have with indoor air quality monitoring now. Some of the value to having air quality monitoring, the kinds of information that is often provided by these monitors. But I think you'll also see the gap of, okay, now you have information, but is it actually usable for you to make a change right now? And does it tell you there's something right now? One of the things that we really want, Darnell talked about the importance of getting information from you. Obviously, I want to answer your questions that you might have about the project and participating in the project, but there's another thing that's really, really important for us. We have started to develop the system where we can take these types of indoor air quality monitors and start to provide feedback. But it is really critical. If we design it in a way, and now we're giving feedback in a way that is not how you want it, you're not going to use it. You're going to say, this is annoying. And it's going to end up in the garbage bin. Or you're going to be, when we come back a month later, you're going to say, get this out of my house, because it's not helping. So one of the things we really want to learn from you is what kind of information you want and how do you want it. Do you want to be able to look at numbers going back a long ways? Do you want to look at graphs? Or is something as simple as just an alert? Hey, something's going wrong, here's your recommendation. What level of information do you want? And then, how do you want it? Do you want it by text? Do you want it by, push notification? What is the way in which you would engage? We want it to be something that you would say, yes, this is helping me have solutions to have a better home. For me, for my family, for my children, for people who visit, for everybody who comes into the home. So, I think a lot of times technology is developed without asking the people who are going to use it, whether it's useful for them in some way or another. Obviously, sometimes it works. They've designed cell phones so that everybody has one, everybody wants to use one, everybody engages with it. There's, technological history is filled with like a landfill's worth of good ideas that didn't take the user experience into account. And this is what we want. We want to know what user experience works for you to say, yes, this can help me. I like how this works. So those are questions we're going to have for you. You're going to have questions for us about the project, and you're thinking about participation. I'll describe how I anticipate this project going. But we also have those questions for you. What kind of information do you want, and how do you want it? Now, I will say just a little bit about the program and some of the timing here before I bring Kyle up to do the presentation. As I said, we are still in the development phase. We eventually, and so this is what we call part of discovery. Discovery meaning this is what the system needs to be able to do to have it work the way we want it to work. And this is one of the last pieces of discovery before we build it. That means we're going to need some time to build it. It's not going to be ready next week. I just talked with the development team that we've got hired to help us, and they're listening in, and was told they think they can have something pretty much their part wrapped up in, say, February. Kyle's going to need time to take that and work with it in his stuff. So I think we're looking probably at the spring when we would start deployments. We're not going to put into 80 houses all at the beginning. We're going to put into about 10 houses at the beginning because we want to make sure that it works. We want to make sure that it works, and putting it in a smaller number of houses at the beginning is really important for us to make sure that it works. If it works as well as we want, I'd like to expand it. The way it'll work, the way the project part of it will work where we are really engaged with you, we would put the device in your home for about a month. We being the full team, I know Darnell's team will be involved with that heavily. So we'll put it in for about a month before it starts sending you alerts. Because what HUD wants from us is they want to know whether doing this improves the outcomes. So we need to have them in the homes for a little while, for about a month, so that we can understand, where things are at now. Then you'll get education, the alerts will get turned on, and then there will be a month of data collection that we're going to be looking at, where now it's giving you feedback. It's telling you, here's the problem and here's a proposed solution for you. Here's what you can do to help. And so we'll get that for about a month and we'll be able to see in the data whether it has improved the indoor air quality based on the actions that you take. We have our colleagues here from the Cook County Department of Public Health, Jason and Diamond. They are going to be providing education for you, indoor air quality, healthy home education. So we'll be working with them to make sure that we've got that information ready. So that'll be part of the education for you, anybody who participates, so that when the alerts get turned on after that month, you'll have an understanding of these types of issues and why it's really important to take actions and how to take those actions to improve the indoor air quality based on the information that you get. Okay, so please be thinking while the presentation that Kyle's going to do is in part just to kind of get the gears turning. So when we are talking about what kind of information do you want and how do you want it, Kyle's presentation is largely intended to help you see the kinds of information that's currently being given. And so please, while he's going through it, think about what is good, what is missing. What would you need? Like if you had this thing in your home, what would you need for it to really give you the type of knowledge, the type of guidance, the type of information that would truly help you? Okay. So I'd like to now bring up Kyle to go through his presentation, and then after that we'll have a dialogue. Okay? Thank you again very much, everybody, for attending, and give you Kyle.
Hello. Hi, everyone. Thank you for having us here. As my name has been mentioned about a million times, I don't think I need to introduce myself. I'm a senior research engineer at Indoor Climate Research and Training, and what I want to do today, start recording. Sorry, we're also running a Zoom call at the same time, and they are all asking for me to click a button. I want to get across to you is how do we communicate air quality? It's all for, you can get it in numbers, colors, but it's really about, what is informative to you and what is actionable, what you can actually make, sense of and do something with. So, we have 6 colors. These colors represent current levels, different states of air quality. This is from a US standard, and they go from good to bad. I've put them in alphabetical order: green, yellow, maroon, orange, maroon, purple, and brown. Yes. Actually, that has actually gone wrong. Apparently, the second to last one should be red. So the projector is not working as well. That kind of it's distracting me. All right, so the colors are, just going to have to imagine the colors are correct: green, maroon, orange, purple, red, yellow. Right? There are no particular order. If I was to ask you what color represents the best level of air quality, what color would you say? Green. Now, if I asked you what is the worst color, what would it be? Red. Pardon? Red. Anyone else got anything else? Nope. If we're going brown by maroon, that would be correct. So the color scheme is actually, so this is taken from the US Environmental Protection Agency's Air Quality Index, and it's used in large cities of populations of 350,000 and up to communicate to the population what the current level of air quality is. And it goes from the best, which is green, yellow, orange, red, I know that's not red, purple, and maroon. If you didn't get that maroon is the worst color, it's actually classed as hazardous. I'm straight with you there because I have no idea what maroon is and the complete context of that being a bad color. I would have gone with red. But again, this is a standard in the US and how we understand outside air quality. Each country has their own version of this with different color schemes. And you can see from here, you have the color, a representation, a description of what it means, and a description of the air quality. Whenever there's a wildfire, say coming down from Canada and coming through the area, you're probably going to see on the local news or wherever you pick up your weather forecasting, something like purple maroon. And that's usually representative of air that you really do not want to breathe. So there is a standard for outdoor air quality, which many people may not already be aware of, because you look at your weather forecast, it doesn't really come up with an AQI. But when we get to indoor air quality, the one thing to know is there are no standards for representing the pollutants that we can measure. So we can measure a lot of stuff in the home. I brought some sensors here at the back, and we can measure things like temperature, humidity, the most basic things that we can measure. We can measure carbon dioxide, which is obviously had a lot of play during the pandemic. Indicated level of ventilation. Carbon monoxide, which is obviously lethal at certain levels, so we really want to know about that one. Particulate matter, so this is dust, again, associated with your wildfires when you most encounter. Nitrous dioxide, gases that come off your stove from gas appliances. So we really want to know, given these metrics, what is an informative way of representing these, and how can I do actionable indicators? And I'm going to take you through some of the sensors, and as you say, you're not really going to get a sense of seeing any particular standards. Those who think, green to red, good to bad is a standard, whereas it should be a standard. Yep, some sensors use that. Some sensors use the EPA color scheme for similar sensors, similar pollutants. So here is a taste of some sensors. This is that you can get in the market. These range from about $50 to up to several hundred. I think the most expensive maybe up to 500. And they going from left to top to bottom. That's the Air Visual Pro, which we have a demo unit at the back. That measures particulate matter, temperature, humidity, and carbon dioxide. The sensor next to it, that says 82, that's an Aver element. That does something similar, but also monitors volatile organic compounds. And the rest of the sensors do something similar. The RNet4 does carbon dioxide. I was using that during the pandemic to get, as it's a portable CO2 sensor, I was taking it on flights to get a sense of ventilation. And so they all have different ways of representing the data they collect. So the Air Visual Pro in the top left uses the EPA's color scheme to represent ventilation. However, carbon dioxide doesn't actually have a danger scale. There is an upper limit about for example, OSHA says you shouldn't be in a room with it. But in terms of the other, numbers, there is no real scale. Whereas the RNet4 at the bottom is using a color-coded scheme of green, yellow, and red to indicate different levels that you should be concerned about with. There is no real comparison between them. They've just arbitrarily selected them, and that's what you'll find in a lot of sensors, where there are really no standards. Here is another range of sensors, the AirQ, which we also have, Air Gradient, a device I've just found on Amazon under the very cheap section. I would never buy it because I wouldn't trust any metric coming off it, because it does quite a lot of things that don't really work at that price point. You have a cutesy teddy bear one called the Noku, which is like an AI, I think it's an AI assistant, which is supposed to give you guidance on the metrics that it collects. As you can see, there's just many ways of visualizing this, the same data. Most of these are measuring exactly the same things. And so I'm just going to go through some of the units in more detail. So this is the Air Visual Pro, its basic, its interface. And you can see you've got numeric representations of temperature, humidity, and carbon dioxide. You can see there is a scale for carbon dioxide, both at the, as the gauge, that circular thing, and a time series graph below. Now from that, if I was trying to interpret that information, it's using green, yellow, orange to indicate severity. And I can get a sense that this sensor has probably been left in someone's living room because round about midnight, the CO2 level starts decreasing. And usually that's what you typically see. You live in your main living space, you're expelling carbon dioxide, the ambient level will increase in that room. I go to bed, the ambient level will decrease in that room, and then will increase in your bedroom if you had a sensor there. You also have PM, AQI metrics, so where it says 12 and 215. That's actually representing particulate matter both in the house and outside using the EPA standard. And you can see that on the next slide, where they have both indoor and outdoor using the EPA's color scheme for AQI. And one of the interesting things I find with this system is it actually gives you very informative information. So a color scheme isn't that great in conveying what you should be doing. So, if it's red, well, does that mean I should not go out? If it's maroon, should I really not go out? I have no idea. But now I've got I've got images showing the level of masking I should be using given, the air quality out. So if it's green, I'm good. You shouldn't care. It's now, that is purple, which is unhealthy. Very unhealthy. I now need to be wearing a respirator. And the next level, the picture is actually a gas mask because it is that toxic to your health. So that's one sensor and the way it displays. Another sensor has a physical, just has an LED, a single LED to represent particulate matter. So it measures so it's measuring the exact same thing here, which is done through the display on the physical device. But now we're just going to have a single color to represent it. So as long as you understand that color, you're going to get a sense of what the indoor air quality is in your house for that one metric. One of the interesting thing is it uses AQI, but the last two colors have been changed. Maroon has now gone, and it's now using a darker purple, which logically, on a color spectrum, makes a little bit more sense than maroon, because again, what the heck's maroon? Another way of displaying this data, so the indoor, you can actually go to the Purple Air map and get a sense of air quality across Chicago and across the world. So these are all the sensors that are in Chicago, and from that, I can see that the air is relatively unhealthy, right? Because it's all in orange. And if I wanted to pick someone's indoor air sensor, so this is someone's indoor sensor, I get a time series graph indicating when it's been good, when it's been bad, and I get a general sense of what's going on. Another sensor, we've also got this unit. This is an Airthings View Pro Plus, which has a display, whereas it collects several metrics. This one actually does radon, so it does a little bit more than most sensors. But it only displays 2 metrics ever on the front. So if you want a complete awareness of your device just through the physical interface, you're not going to get it through here. But however, if you go up to it and wave at the device, it will actually glow either green, yellow, and red, and show you what particular elements, pollutants are of concern. And you can see on the right, in the middle, this is from their app, which is very similar to what the website does. And you can see that CO2 has been marked as fair. Now, what you consider fair, I don't know. Let's see. Oh, sorry, VOC. No, CO2. VOC is rated fair. Now, VOC, for most of the times, you're probably not going to care. I mean, if this was my house, I might have just spilled a beer. And that's the alcohol has got into the air, and it's annoying the sensor. Who cares? It's not really a health risk. But someone has judged it as a health risk because they can't, when it comes to VOCs, you can't tell the difference between one VOC and the other one. It's only indicating the total content. You can also get a display and showing time series. One of the interesting things on this is where we're getting from informative displays to actionable. This is a system that also has notifications. So you can set on the left different metrics to have different notifications. And in this case, I get them through the app. So you can get little push notifications saying what's going on. This device seems cool. However, in this instance, all the thresholds for indicating when I should send an alert are fixed, and they're fixed in a way that my house would generate all the notifications no matter what I do. So for example, you can see the temperature is locked in to reporting anything below, let's say I can't read that on my screen, anything below 64 Fahrenheit and anything above 77. That's my house every day as I turn the heating up and down depending what time it is. So that's not particularly useful as a notification. You want to set it to something that is comfortable for you. And that might case for other, metrics that we might do. Another device, this is the Air Gradient Zero. They have a nice, dashboard, so you do access through the web, and you can see different little graphs and, representing the current data, and you can see all the individual metrics themselves. If we zoom into one of them, so this is from my house, and it actually, again, for particulate matter, this is using the EPA grading system, so you can get a sense of what it judges hazardous. Most of that is from me frying, in my kitchen. I don't have any ventilation, so anytime I cook using my gas cooker, fry some eggs, I will get pollutants all around the house. And I will have to turn, if I want to, I'll have to either turn my bath fan to vent that out, or I'm just gonna have to deal with the fact that there's a ton of pollutants in that. Or, open some windows and hope for a cross breeze. And this also has its own notification system as well. This doesn't actually work for an app. This actually has a dashboard interface. So, if we go through, this is being the dashboard. You can also get as in the top right, I've got a notification telling me when the house is too cold, and you can get it both through email and through the dashboard. So there are many ways of getting your informative, information to you in an actionable way. Does anyone have any questions? No? I think we're good. Sure.
Thank you. You talked about the device being in the kitchen.
Yep.
The example that you gave with the cooking. What's the recommended place for the device to actually go for the best results?
Probably not in the kitchen. So the so at least when we do research, we tend to stick our equipment in the main living space because if you leave stuff in the kitchen, then other factors such as boiling a kettle, running the water creates short-term increases of humidity, which has a tendency to interfere with the sensor. There is a lot of issues with different pollutants or different types of things in the air, creating interaction effects. So you really want to keep it in a space that is representative of your home, but not in a place that you're going to start creating false readings.
So I was telling Mayor Harvey, I was like, well, it wouldn't go well in my kitchen because I don't cook.
Well, in my home, I do a lot of cooking, and my house, I mean, one of the most common, what most people have as an air quality sensor in their house is a smoke alarm, and I regularly set that thing off because I tendency to, because I just love cooking burgers and steaks. It's,
Thank you.
And I should know better.
Yikes. So to kind of follow up a little bit more on that, I tend to agree that actually putting it right in the kitchen is probably not the best choice, but a lot of the most concerning contaminants are generated by cooking. And so we want it to be somewhere where maybe you're not right in the kitchen, but those contaminants will start to pop up in like the next room. Like if it's open to a living room, that living room would be a really good place because if nitrogen dioxide starts to increase or the particle levels start to increase, it'll pick it up there pretty quickly. And that's where we could send those alerts, where we could have something that says, we have identified that particle levels are increasing. They've increased by some amount. I mean, this is the kind of thing we want to get from you. What kind of information do you want? But some indication that particle levels are increasing and a recommendation of an action to do to bring those particle levels back down. And so as long as it's in where you can kind of see the kitchen from there, you got a little, some opening doorways or whatever, we would want it there. But one of the things we're going to be doing, and this is where Darnell and his team are going to come in really key, is part of the idea is that we can customize what we put in and where we put it based on what we see in the home. Another thing that I think is an issue is, okay, so you have an indoor air quality monitor. It measures what it measures, and there it is. What we're looking to do is have maybe one of these things that measures 6 or 7 or 8 different things in one central location, But then maybe in a bedroom, say a bedroom of a child who has asthma, maybe we put something in there that doesn't measure everything, but measures a couple of key things. If you've got a basement, maybe we want to measure humidity, something like that. So based on what a person sees in a specific home, that would be an indicator of this could be an issue in this specific home. Let's measure things that are appropriate for that home instead of having it be a one-size-fits-all, because one size doesn't fit all.
So my question is, do you need to have more than one of these meters? Is it on every level? Is it on every level of your home? And does it also measure the air quality? When you say air quality, does that entail mold? Like if you have mold in your home, will it measure that as well?
Okay, so the exact placement, it's not necessarily going to be one on every level of the home. It would depend on what the person from Darnell's team, what the contractor, the evaluator sees. They might just put one. They might put 2 or 3. We're not going to put more than three locations per home. We'll have up to 3 locations in a home, and then which locations will depend on what the person sees in the home as the more critical areas to monitor. And then what gets put in those places will depend on what they see is the most critical areas to monitor. Now, as far as mold, it's not going to specifically say mold. However, when mold releases and is in the air, those are particles. Those are viewed as particles. So if something is measuring particles, it would pick up mold spores as part of the overall particles. And additionally, where you have mold, you have moisture. And so we would be measuring higher levels of moisture. So now sometimes those can just be identified without an indoor air quality monitor, but if you have a heavy rain event and it's starting to, the moisture levels are starting to increase, this would be able to indicate that and potentially propose some solutions for you. Darnell?
Just as a follow-up to that question, also will it be, and I'm just asking for public information, will we be taking into consideration input from the homeowner, i.e., if a homeowner has a child with asthma, or if a homeowner has, a mother or a grandparent in a home that is on oxygen, in terms of being able to select those locations, is that type of information and feedback important in making the determination of where those sensories are placed at?
Yeah, it absolutely can be important. If we're going to put, let's say there are 3 kids and one of them has asthma and the other 2 don't, it's probably more important to put an indoor air quality monitor in the room of the child that has asthma, because that's the susceptible person where if something starts to go wrong, that's who's going to pay for it. And if we can catch it early, that's who's going to benefit from it the most. Now, again, we're limited in how, we're not going to be putting one in every bedroom. So, but one of the things that I really like about how we're doing this, and one of the great things about Darnell and his team, is they have the training to go in and not do the one-size-fits-all, and to work with the residents, to talk with the residents and understand what's going on in this home. Nobody knows how the home lives better than the people who live there. It doesn't matter whether you know all the science. You live there. You know which rooms are cold. You know which rooms are too warm. You know whether it feels damp in the basement sometime. If somebody from Darnell's team is there on a Thursday, they're getting what is it like on that Thursday, and maybe that's in the summer, but you know that in the winter there are some kinds of issues that you don't see in the summer. So they have the knowledge and understanding to talk with people to find out what's going on with that home that you as the resident know so well, to be able to make those kinds of decisions. So it really is, just like we're trying to have a dialogue here, it's a dialogue too when they're in the homes.
Okay, and I know you said that, it was said that earlier 10 homes will be selected from each community. How are you going to determine who those 10 homes are? Will you do like a pre-survey prior to that, or just people will be coming into homes and then saying, okay, this home is the most, this home needs, you know what, the monitoring more so than the next?
So we're actually, by the end of the project, we're gonna be doing 40 homes in each community. We're starting with 10 because honestly, if we tried to do it in all 80 homes right at the beginning, I can pretty much guarantee it would be a failure. Just too much to do all at once. But so in terms of who those first 10 are, that I am going to be leaving to Darnell and his team, the mayors, to help us get the folks in and really stage it. Because then once we got in those 10, we want to go to the next group. Who are those?
Can I ask that question for you? Tanita LaSure shouldn't have asked that question. We gonna make it work. We're gonna pick, her home's gonna be number one. Okay. So we're gonna make sure of that.
Yeah, yeah. Mayor Thompson.
So the question that I have is those that live in multifamily units, because we're talking about single-family homes, and then sometimes we have issues in our multifamily. So is this program, the initial start is with single-family, or is a combination with those that's multifamily, because you got owners of buildings that may not want the device in their units?
Right, and so that's a really good question.
I mean, we can make it single-family only as we roll out this program while you all.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure when we roll it out that it's not a message for us,
Yep.
for those that may live in multifamily settings.
Absolutely. And so my thinking on that is we're going to be best off if we at least start with single family and maybe plan on it being single family. But if at the end we're really happy about it and we think, hey, let's put it into a few multifamily units, then we can explore it. But let's start with the single family. And one of the reasons why I'm saying that, I just want to have people be clear. I want to do multifamily. Multifamily, even more than any other sector, tends to be underserved.
That's right.
Because it's more complicated. I want to help people in multifamily because they need it maybe more than anybody else. However, one of the challenges with multifamily is maybe you're getting an alert and it's because your neighbor is doing something. Mm-hmm. What are you going to do? Knock on their door and tell them stop cooking, or turn on your fan, open your window? And so it's a confounding factor that makes it harder for us to see. Now, what I do think is if this is successful, it still applies to multifamily. It's just, it's harder for us to determine whether it's successful if we go into those types of buildings.
I got it. And so I do want to acknowledge our fire chief and our fire inspector is here. So how does the air quality device tie in with smoke detectors and the CO units and all of that stuff so that it's not a conflict?
It will have nothing to do with each other. They will not tie in at all. I mean, if there's a lot of smoke in the house because of burning something, then the smoke alarm's going to go off, and the thing is going to send you an alert that the particle levels are increasing, so you'll get notifications from both, but they're not going to be communicating with each other in any way whatsoever. Totally independent.
I reside in a two-level home, but my downstairs is a home daycare. My upstairs is a one-bedroom apartment.
Okay.
Then I have a downstairs, which is a basement, where I have a bedroom also. So based on it being a home daycare, would that be considered in a bi-level building?
I would consider that as eligible. It's still, you still have control over the entire building.
Yes.
It's not going to be influenced by the neighbor.
No.
So since
No,
you still
just-
have control over the entire building,
It's a family house, yes.
then I think that home would fit within our program.
Oh, very good. Thank you.
Yep. Yes, sir.
So the devices that we will be using on this project will all be powered through the socket. There are devices that have battery backup, And some of our, sometimes we do include battery backups because power cuts can interfere with stuff. So it's nice not to have to reset stuff. But the way that we're trying to design the system is to make sure that it is robust enough to survive events like that. Yeah.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Thank you. What length of time would the monitors be in the home?
So for the project, it's about 2 months. So it's that month at the beginning for us to understand kind of where things are at, and then a month after we turn on the alerts to see whether having those alerts results in improved air quality.
And then follow up to that, what time period in the year? What season?
We're just going to be rolling through, do our first 10 when we're ready, hopefully early spring-ish. And then when we're done with that, we're going to move on to the next, and then we're going to move on to the next. So we are going to be trying to be in homes kind of through all seasons. Where your home might be in terms of which season would just be depending on where you would be in that rollout.
No problem. I know you have a couple of devices back there, but wanted to know, have you selected the one that will be used, or is this discovery session to kind of help with that input?
Yeah, so we have pretty well selected the devices that are going to be included. We kind of had to do that so that the developers could start to put things together. And so one of the things that we are trying to do, though, is make it so that what matters is what we are measuring, not what we're measuring with. So we want to measure carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide, particles, humidity, volatile organic compounds, formaldehyde, nitrogen dioxide. We want to measure all of these different things, but it's going to feed back into what we are building. And so you might have several devices in your home that are all feeding information back and then sending the information back to you. So while it may or may not have a display that comes with it when it comes off the shelf, we're going to be processing and working with the data differently. So, yeah, so we had to make some decisions based on things like, how do you access the data? There are ways of accessing data that are just very difficult for this type of system to do. So choosing a humidity sensor where you can actually get to the data easily, for example.
Okay, so you're saying we access the data, but if you have these monitors throughout the community, is there a way for you to centrally take the data? Can you monitor the community?
The data can be shunted around wherever we wish. The question is, what context are you asking?
Well, what I'm thinking is, for air quality, there are things that affect your indoor air quality that are related to your site specific. There's also other items that are related to either your neighborhood, your region, that could be affecting your indoor air quality that maybe identify in my house, I got this, we can't figure out why. But if we know that everyone in the neighborhood has it, it might be, I'll give you a good example. Monday nights at the bakery, they cook something chocolate. Our neighborhood smells like chocolate. That's a positive one. If there's another plant doing something that has an odorless whatever, carcinogen, we don't know it. And I'm assuming that maybe your particulate readings might be picking something up like that. I mean, you can't test for everything. But how would you know? How would I know? And even if I didn't know, how do I tell the other 212 houses in my neighborhood, hey, we got a problem?
So you're thinking about like a neighborhood app, for example, for in your air quality.
Well, I'm thinking.
Essentially communicates, for example, everyone's. That was, I think, would be outside of the scope, namely because something like that requires density of people around.
Mm-hmm.
So if we don't have you all within the same space, then the community sharing. Not to say that we can do that, although that's not. I don't believe that's in scope. But we are intending, because we are aware, obviously, that outdoors drives the reading inside the home will mirror exactly what the outside looks like. You'll see no difference. If you've got if you smoke, if you do a lot of cooking, you will see that, they completely separate. Or, say for a wildfire, if that occurs, the wildfire smoke will get into your house and completely overwhelm everything, and you'll be wondering, oh, what's going on? I found it when the wildfires came down to Champagne, that our office was just flooded with the outside air, and it just made no sense because our air was normally clear. And I'm getting warnings from all my sensors saying, hey, mask up, your office is lethal to you. I'm going, wait, what? But yeah, so something like that we can do. In terms of community, that's not something we can consider. But
So the indoor is complementary to your outdoor monitoring.
Yeah.
So can I add to what Tom is speaking of, and help me, Tom, with this? So this is a pilot program that's being initiated in the two communities. And over by where Tom lives, it is a heavy industrial area where he's talking about this cookie factory. And so this will allow us in Broadview to be able to identify how outdoor impact indoor, and you all will have the matrix and all of the numbers to get some feedback on how to make the system better. Is that the direction we're going in?
So that is, I will say that's not the central focus, but that is something we ought to be able to look at. Because, like if we see the particle levels are rising indoors, if that's because of cooking, we might say, open a window. If it's rising because the outdoor air is getting bad, we might say, close the window. And so we need to have some idea of what's going on outside in terms of particles, so while we might not be specifically trying to get at what are the outdoor conditions all the time, we will get some information just necessarily so that we can provide useful feedback.
So basically, if you're saying that the outdoors contributes to the indoors or contributes, so if I don't have any control over the outdoors, so the response would be just close a window, or, I mean, I'm just saying, because it could be scary, right, if your levels are high and it has something to do with a factor that you have no dominion and control over.
Right, and so a
So
couple
it's
of
just knowing, so maybe I should move out of my house, huh?
yeah.
Yeah, I'm just saying, if,
No, so for example, here's the kinds of things that we could potentially do. Like if we see that particle levels are rising and it looks like it's coming from outdoors, then the alert could be close your windows. It could include, if you have a portable air cleaner, turn it on. We could have something that turn on the fan for your furnace if you have a forced air furnace, because that will bring air through the filter. Now, is that going to get it all the way to necessarily clean? Not necessarily. We can't guarantee that. But these are the types of actions that if this works the way we want it to, we could give you that guidance real time, so you could do something to where it's better than it would have been.
Quick question, are you going to be able to drill down, I know you're going to be able to drill down in terms of the particles, but also to take a look at the structures. Like example, the numbers may be different in Georgians, bungalows, ranches with open floor plans or bi-levels, to be able to provide that information to specific communities. Like Broadview, we have a lot of Georgians and ranches.
So I want to be careful with the number of homes that we're going to be doing. The sample size would be such that we might have suggestions, but nothing that would be a large enough sample to say, yes, absolutely, we can conclude that Georgians or bungalows or ranches have this type of problem.
A consistency,
right,
versus a ranch with an open floor plan.
Right, yeah, like I say, we will have maybe suggestions, but not with a high enough confidence to be able to say it's because of that issue. If we have 80 homes and then we've got 10 different types of homes, and then of course every family lives differently, so are we seeing that because of the type of home or because of the families? And it's just not a big enough sample. If we had hundreds, we could get at that.
So I have a follow-up question to that, because when you look at square footage of a home, is there an average square footage that you're looking for? Because earlier, you said that you can have multiple devices in different rooms, but if it's an average, so if the average home is 1,400 square foot, would one device cover the whole entire home, or do you need it in different rooms to get the air quality?
So the question is whether the size makes a difference to deployments. Sorry, I'm just doing this for the Zoom. It really depends on what Darnell's team and yourselves are interested in measuring. So, for example, say you don't really have any major concerns, but you're in the project and you want to get a sense of, what does my air quality mean for me? Perhaps we'll just put one sensor in the main living space, as we would do in most research studies. And then you might get a sense of, well, actually, whereas there isn't really an issue here, fair enough. But then you might be another home where it says, there is a problem, for my kid, so I clearly want the bedroom. So it doesn't really matter what the size of the space is. It's really what you want to, what concerns you have and what you want to know. My house is 1,500 square feet. I have sensors in my living room. I have my office. I have them actually absolutely everywhere. I'm in the bedroom. There isn't good airflow between those rooms. So if I'm in the living space, all the pollutants will increase, but the bedroom won't pick anything up. It'll be fine. If I turn on the air handler, everything distributes across the house, right? So that's they make a slow buildup of CO2, and so when we go to bed, that CO2 that's already there, plus the addition of cells, will build up even more CO2, right? So these are the issues that you might encounter depending on your house design and the problems that you want to do with. So there's no minimum or a maximum number. It really depends on what you want to know.
Okay, so I'm gonna take your question. Then I know we're running a little short on time. I would like to get some information from you on how you want to get information from us. So please go ahead.
You mentioned that the device is powered by lithium batteries and electricity.
So they're going to be plugged in.
Okay.
Some of them may have battery backup.
So that was my question. During inclement weather and loss of power, is there a backup power source?
Yeah. So most of the devices will have, or do any not have a battery backup? Okay. Okay.
So one thing that in order for this all to work, we have to be connected to the internet. So if the internet goes down, the system can't do anything. So that's an important aspect to it. If we can't get to your local internet, so that's something we'd be interested to do, we will bring our own backup, mobile phone connection to run this. So it's completely off your system.
Okay.
Two more questions.
Yeah.
Okay.
So is Bellwood and Broadview, are we one of the first that you've did this monitoring with? Do you have a comparative village or town that you've done it with?
You're first.
Oh, okay.
You're first.
Okay.
Yeah,
You're not much worried if your power goes out about your little monitor. I'm more worried about my refrigerator.
Okay. All right. So if it's okay. Oh.
So will you guys be able to help so you identify, I'll go over my thinking. Sorry. We all know about carbon monoxide. We know that we need to have a radon test. There's things we don't know. And if the particulate matter is getting picked up, is there ways that you'll be able to help us identify it? Like the thing that came to mind was off-gassing of building materials. If you've used that Chinese drywall a few years ago or using that insulation, it is slowly leaking out over time into your house, causing you cancer 15, 20 years from now. If you knew today, you could do something about it. Is there anything?
So if you have, in that example, off-gassing materials, that is some set of volatile organic compounds. And so if we are measuring in the home and we just see that you have exceptionally high levels of volatile organic compounds, that would be coming from, It's not necessarily,
Could be anything.
it's not necessarily the walls or anything, or paint. It could be, what are you using for cleaning products? It could be, what are you using for personal care products? But essentially, those things that give those odors are volatile organic compounds, and that's where somebody like Darnell or others from his team who have the training can go in and look and see what things are likely to be causing higher levels of those volatile organic compounds.
So we have a question from someone that's viewing online, and the question is, how will the alerts be communicated to the residents?
That is one of the things I want to hear from you about. So, yeah, this is one of the absolute key questions for our design. How, what mechanism of getting information from us is useful? Is it, if we send it by just standard text, does that work? Is that a mechanism that people would engage with? Or is that a mechanism that people don't engage with and you need it some other way? How do you want to receive the information? Text?
I mean, show of hands, how many would you like to just as a text message?
I don't look at my phone all the time. I really don't.
So if it was, okay, so text messages. So what if it
We
was?
voted on text messages, so you got to check out your phone.
So, do rates apply? Oh, yeah, they probably would, wouldn't they?
To receive a message, rates shouldn't apply.
Yeah, how?
We would pay to send a message, but they shouldn't be receiving. I mean,
Okay, so what Kyle is saying. So what Kyle is saying is that to receive the message, we would maybe have to pay to send you the message. You would only have to pay to send us a message back.
yeah, unless you all have terrible phone plans. I mean, if I use my UK phone to send a message, then someone is paying for that message. But US to US, we should all be free.
Okay, so.
All right. I mean,
That's,
I
it's,
mean, I'm not familiar with any plans that do that. I mean, I think most of that's included for receiving messages.
so can I ask a question? You were saying you don't look at your phone. So just a text doesn't help. What if it was text plus at least an optional noise? It makes some kind of sound that alerts you that maybe you want to go check your phone. Would that help?
Yeah, just keep the notification on.
Okay.
What's making the sound? Where's the sound coming from? Would be my question.
Where's the sound coming from? Coming from the phone.
But that text message.
Excuse me.
We have a question right here. Question right here. Excuse me. Question right here.
Yeah, I didn't, because I got to step out, I just wanted to say this before I left, because I am just so appreciative of these two mayors. And a lot of times we only get criticism when they don't do something, or we think they should have did something, but I appreciate everything you bring to these communities. And I thank God for that. And the way that we can show our appreciation, and listen, I didn't even know she was the mayor, and I'm sorry. Okay. So they'll know that I'm not saying this because I know her. I didn't know she was, but I know now. I'm sorry. But I just want to say we can show our appreciation when it's time to vote, right? My name is Phyllis Mays, and I approve this message.
Okay.
Apparently Charles is saying that there are some services where that you can get charged for SMSs. Is that something we should?
Okay, so we've got some information. There are some services that would charge you to receive the text. That's one of the things we're gonna definitely wanna be clear about. Are there other mechanisms other than text that would work for people?
I have a suggestion. So do y'all have an app?
We do not yet have an app.
So when you're saying notifications, if you have an app, the app will like ding a notification, can help you ding notifications. I don't know another way that notifications will be able to be sent to someone's phone without an app. Like how would you get that notification to the phone without the app?
There are multiple ways you can send a notification. The physical device can make a sound, can do a flash of light. I'm not saying that we will have that, but that's one way of conveying information. Another way is obviously text. One is through app notifications. Also through a web dashboard. So if you have a website, which is what we're constructing at the moment, you can have the interfaces where it says display information. There is an issue, obviously, of how you notify you back to the phone, which again, we're limited to text messages or through app notifications. If there are other ways that people know of, we're open to hear about those, but those are the ones I know of personally.
Yeah, because I was just saying with the app, it might be a charge on your end, but to send a notification for us to download that app, to receive that notification, say we download the app, we have it set up to our profile, and the actual device goes to, like it connects to the app, and then it won't be no charge on our end, but it may be a charge on your end to actually.
Well, there'll be two ways. So if it was through an app, then that will be coming through either your mobile provider, through the 5G connection or 4G, or it'll be coming through a Wi-Fi connection. If it's through Wi-Fi, everything's free for everybody. If it's coming through the 5G, then that's a minor charge on yours. I mean, that'll be negligible. The cost of sending notifications through 5G connections are just nothing. So that would be a way of handling that way if it was through an app.
Okay, but I think this is an important consideration if we even have like an app shell. I think this is one of the things for the team to go back and think about.
An app shell, that could be considered that just handles notifications and just a link to a website.
Right, just some mechanism to be able to send those. So another question.
I would just like to say that when you are thinking about how you're going to notify residents, we do have seniors that will be participating in the program, and I do think you have to be cognizant of what their cell phone capabilities and stuff are. So there might have to be multiple ways that might work better for someone who maybe is not astute in terms of
Okay.
that.
Yep.
So going back to the app, when you are putting these devices in homes, say for instance you had the app, when you go to a senior citizen home and you install this device, right there I feel like the app should be installed into their phone too, and just so that you help them, like you go in, you install the device, you install the app, and you help them get that set up. So when those notifications do come, they don't have to do anything but just hear that ding and look at it. So that's just a suggestion.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Yeah, I think these are exactly the kinds of bits of input that it's really key for us to get. I have one more question I want to ask. I know we're right about out of time. I think Darnell's wanting to close it out here. Yeah, so the other thing, do people want to have a lot of access to the data, or is simply having the alert enough? And if you want access to data, do you want to see the numbers? Like if it says, hey, something's going wrong, do you want to see the numbers, or is just, you do want to see the numbers? That's why I'm asking. I would want to see the numbers, but I'm not assuming everybody wants to see the numbers.
And I think that we should make sure that they know what the numbers mean also, right?
And that's where some of that education is going to come in, is if you see a number that says 50, is that good? Is that bad? What does that mean? And that's where some of that education and like printed matter, handouts, things like that can come in handy. Okay, so you do want to see numbers. Do you want to see graphs or numbers are good? Numbers? Okay. Yeah.
So, trustee, so I will say this, as we go through this process, and we have to wrap up because I know I have another engagement, as well as Mayor Harvey, because he was sharing that information with me. But I really want to thank everyone for coming out today and participating. I thought it was a real robust conversation, and it was a very much needed conversation, so thank you for being here today. As we go through the process, I think it's important that we are very transparent in the deliverables of what the expectation is. I trust Darnell and his team, as well as the team he's brought on to bring this device to us. And as we engage in conversation, make sure we always keep Cook County Public Health Department in the loop of all of these things, because when we look for funding, we look to our other government agencies to be able to piggyback off things that matter to us in community. So thank you for being here today. Thank you all for participating. And just stay connected to the dialogue that's going to take place between the two communities as we roll out the Indoor Air Quality Initiative, which is very, very important to all of us in all of our communities. So with that being said, happy holidays, enjoy, be safe, be prosperous in 2025, and like Ms. May said, I approve this message.
Happy holidays. Have a good rest of the weekend.
Thanks, everybody. And we will, please make sure you signed in, email address, contact information, because there will be follow-up correspondence coming out to you. Thank you all so much.